Hi guys! Welcome to my channel, Pinay Mom's Vlogs. My name is Tara. I'm a Filipino mom living here in Amsterdam with my Dutch husband and our two boys. I share food, travel, and lifestyle vlogs of biracial family like ours. So if this is something that you're interested in and you're new to our channel, then please consider subscribing. And on this episode, I would like to share with you 5 things that I learned as a Filipino living abroad, and also why I left my country, the Philippines, in the first place many years ago. Okay, so my story is that I've been living here in the Netherlands for 10 years now, but when I was in high school, I also lived in the Middle East, and then I moved back to the Philippines, and then I finished my college there. I did my post-grad, and I worked there for a bit, and then after that, I moved to the US. I was offered a job there, and it was very unexpected, but I grabbed the opportunity and then I worked there. Eventually, that's where I met my husband, and then years later, we decided to move here in the Netherlands. So I've been very blessed to be able to live in different countries. I'm very blessed to be able to meet different kinds of people, different backgrounds, different walks of life. And in fact, I still keep in touch with my high school classmates from the Middle East. I still see them on Facebook, on WhatsApp. I was even able to see a couple of them again years later when I was living in the US. And then of course, I do still keep in touch with my friends in LA, in San Diego, because that's where I live. Dun po ako tumira. Throughout my journey, living in different places, meeting different kinds of people, I've learned 5 important things from the challenges that I faced living abroad. I left my country because I grabbed an opportunity of a lifetime, and little did I know that there's actually a lot of challenges that I faced while living abroad. And everybody, of course, have their own experiences, their own stories to tell. So I thought that I would share with you the 5 things that hopefully you probably could relate to if you have also traveled or lived abroad. And here they are, in no particular order. Okay, so number 1, language could make or break you. Now, if you're a traveler, you know that it's actually to your advantage or to our advantage if we try to learn the language of the country that we're going to go to. At least know some basic sentences for conversations or for asking questions. Now, if you're just a tourist, it may not be as important, although marami sa atin, they're still trying to figure out how to say this or how to say that in a certain language that, you know, the country that they're going to go to. But probably it's not as important if you are touring around as to somebody who's going to move or become an expat. So if you're going to live in a certain country for a longer period of time, of course, it's very beneficial po, right? Here in Holland, for example, I was lucky enough to be able to learn the language, and it's mandatory for us because we have Dutch partners. And although the language is different, we're luckily still learning the same letters of the alphabet. So A, B, C, D, E. It's just different phonetics, and of course it's a different language. Dutch is a different language. It's a little bit Germanic, but there's a lot of similarities between Dutch and yung English language po. So because of that, it's actually very easy for me to learn the Dutch language as well. Although don't get me wrong, mahirap pa rin po na language ang Dutch. But when I was living in Saudi Arabia with my parents and my siblings, it's quite different because they use the Arabic alphabet, so we had to learn a little bit of the Arabic language and the Arabic alphabet as well, especially for my parents and also my mom, because she had to do the groceries, she needed to read the labels, and we also need to learn the numbers for the currency of the country. So in essence, if you learn the language of the country that you're in, then you feel more integrated. You make more friends with the locals, and then you generally feel more at ease with the things that you do because you know a little bit of the language. Language could definitely be a barrier to your success if you don't put an effort in learning a certain language. So especially for us living here in Holland, it's really beneficial for us to learn Dutch. It also gives you better opportunities of personal growth, especially if you're in a different country where you live in. Okay, so number 2, judging others because of how they look is a mistake. Now, we all have stereotypes in mind about certain people, certain societies, and unfortunately, this sometimes could lead to discriminating one society from the other, or one racial background from the other. Now, in the beginning, of course, coming from our own bubble, galing po tayo sa Philippines, we're not very familiar with these things, and so you only learn about certain races and certain cultures from movies or from the books that you read or the stories that you hear about. But let me tell you that it really is a big mistake when you judge a person by the color of their skin or what they look like, or if they belong to a certain community, or they identify with a certain group. I mean, generally speaking, of course, people are good and kind-hearted. And the thing is, once you get to meet all these kinds of people, of course, there's always an exception, but generally speaking, people are very kind, and some of them even make the best of friends. So we cannot allow this stereotype in our mind if we live in a different country, and this is what I learned. You have to get to know them, you have to make friends with them, and you also have to be open-minded. Number 3, living abroad changes your character, or at least your outlook in life. There's a change in your outlook in life when you move to a different country, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of you who are already now living abroad could relate to that. It's not really a personality change po, but it's certainly, maybe I'd like to say, a little bit of a different person for the better. But certainly, I have earned some traits that are to my advantage. For example, I'm more adaptable to situations because now you learn to adjust to the different ways and means of different people because of the way that they were brought up, different from yours. I also tend to be more competitive nowadays because, of course, you have to compete with the locals. You really have to be more determined. We really have to work harder because there's competition out there, and we really need to do our best. And also because Filipinos talagang we really try to do our best naman to begin with, di po ba? In that respect, we have it to our advantage to be more competitive, or we try to be more competitive than others. Through time, I also learned to be more confident about myself. I feel more determined. Plus, tayo po mga Filipinos, as Filipinos, we are very adaptable. So, I took it to my advantage that because we're raised in a society that is very adaptable, then you apply that to whichever country that you live in, then it's actually easier for you to adjust to your new environment and in the new country that you live in. Number 4, living abroad made me appreciate my own culture as well as others. Being in a different society with different cultures not only allowed me to learn and understand other people of different upbringings, but it also gave me a new perspective about my own. Even within our own culture, di po ba, we tend to differentiate and compare different ethnicities. And then, if you move to a different country, then you realize how much we really have a lot in common as a Filipino. Every culture obviously is different, and you tend to appreciate one than the other. There are certainly times when you go to a different country and you're culture shocked. For example, when I was living in the Middle East, I was culture shocked just by the environment and also how families live there. And then when I moved to the US, another culture shock is calling your superior on a first name basis, because when we were back home, we always call each other ma'am or sir, and all of a sudden you're calling Mr. Davidson Joe and Mrs. Robinson Stella. So what I'm trying to say is the bottom line is that you will really tend to appreciate your own culture, especially once you leave and once you are exposed to others or other cultures. And finally, number 5, you see the world differently. You feel more connected as a human being. You have a broader sense of belonging to the world in a sense. I don't feel anymore as if I just belong in one country, but that I belong in this world. But of course, it's still rooted from the virtues and the values that I learned being a Filipino and being brought up as a Filipino. And because of that, I'm very proud of. But of course, there's some disadvantages of living abroad. There are some struggles, there's a lot of adjustments, a lot of compromises. In my case, because I live abroad also with a foreign partner, then I also have my own challenges with having a relationship with somebody that's non-Filipino and raising my family, just because we are two different cultures. We are now, as a biracial family, we also need to address the challenges that we face, and that is a given. And then of course, the biggest struggle of them all is being away from home, being away from our loved ones back home. I'm pretty sure marami po sa atin could relate to that. But thankfully, because we now live in a society where we have mobile phones, and then of course we have social media, then we can stay connected with them even from a distance. Okay, so there you have it. These are the 5 things that I learned, and I hope that you can relate to some of them, or if not all of them. Please share with us what challenges you've faced while living abroad, and share with us also how you've overcome them, because alam ko po na we all have our different stories to tell. And if you happen to like this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, and also feel free to check out the rest of our videos on our playlist, and I'll see you again next time here on Pinay Mom's Blogs. Thanks guys, thanks for watching. Hi guys, thanks for watching our video. If you'd like to see more episodes of Pinay Mom's Blogs, please click on any of the links up ahead, or you can subscribe to our channel to see more episodes every week. Thanks, bye for now.